information here. Very good, very good. Also, one more time, so I want to thank you guys for your time. Like taking your Saturday afternoon, come out here. We're going to try to make sure we're giving you, as much value for your time, making it worth your while. We're really excited for presentation. Bree and I have been working on it a bunch, so Bree is going to kick us off talking about visualization, positive affirmations, and things like that in terms of habit formation, right? And I'm going to kind of bring us home with more like tactical, practical things we can do to implement. Okay, so Bree's going to start us off, and I'm going to finish off. Everybody good? Met my wife, Brianna here.
Hi. Okay, hi everyone. I have some familiar faces, some probably familiar voices, because you only get to hear my voice, you rarely get to see me. So I like being in these type of settings where I finally get to see everyone and meet everyone. So today we're going to talk about sticking to healthy habits in 2025. I know we're already in February and we're moving towards March, but it's still never too late to start. So we're going to start by talking about the brain science. There's actually a lot of science behind how we can get our brain to help us achieve goals. We're also going to do a life audit, so some practical steps to achieving goals, some ways that you can set goals that are going to be good for you. And then we're going to talk about really making these goals smart goals. So how do we make goals that we can actually stick to, that we can actually achieve, versus just kind of blindly setting them? Getting used to this thing. Okay, so manifestation is turning your dreams into reality. And there's actually a whole science behind it. The science or neuroscience of manifestation explains how your brain shapes your thoughts, your beliefs, your actions to help you achieve your goal. So I think a lot of people view manifestation as just thinking things into existence. I want this, so I'm going to manifest it by just thinking about it or by saying it once. But there really is actually a science in transforming your brain and thinking about things repeatedly and doing affirmations and visualization to actually get your brain to believe that you can actually achieve it. And when you think that you can actually achieve something, it makes it a lot easier to do. A lot of times our goals feel a little lofty, and you might have a really big goal of starting your own business, or you might have a small goal of losing 5-10 pounds, but whether it's big or small, it always feels a little unattainable. Like if you've struggled to lose weight, 10 pounds still feels like you can't do it. So by believing it and telling yourself that you can, your brain will actually help you achieve that. We're going to go over 2 key brain principles, one being neuroplasticity and the other one our reticular activating system. So neuroplasticity literally has the word plastic in it. And I want you to think of this as like a plastic water bottle. You take a Poland Spring empty water bottle, you could squish it, you could bend it, you can mold it. And that's the same as our brain. We can really mold our brain. Neuroplasticity refers to the constant rewiring of our brain based on our thoughts. So again, visualization. I'm constantly thinking about this goal. I'm thinking about what it feels like to have achieved this goal, what my life is like, how it smells, how it sounds, like every sense. I'm doing affirmations. I'm talking positively about it. I tell people, oh, I'm going to do this. I don't say, well, I'd like to do this. I'm very positive about it. And the more you do that, the more your brain starts to actually notice opportunities to help you achieve that goal. And that's going to be more of the reticular activating system. But when you start to let your brain believe that something's possible, it starts to pick up on little opportunities in your environment. And then you can really move towards it. And some of the brightest minds in this world have done manifestation techniques to get to where they were or to where they are today. I mean, Steve Jobs, obviously, he passed away, but he's done some incredible things in his lifetime. Things that people did not think were practical, that could be done. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting was reading an interview with him, was he said that he would often think about the end product before even starting a project. It's crazy. Some of the things that he's created, he created the first smartphone before we had any kind of smartphone, any kind of technology like that. And to think that he believed so hard that this was possible, and people were like, you're nuts. And he really had this dream of, no, I could see it for myself. I know that I'm going to do this. And then he created the steps without even having like any idea of how to get there. He was like, here's the end goal, and I'm going to create the steps to get there. One of the quotes that I put up here that I really like by him is, the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. And that's it. You start with a dream that seems insane, but you believe it, you're positive about it, and then you achieve it. And people that doubted you, I can use my husband as an example. You should have seen. I don't know if has anyone been here from like the first space? Yeah. So you saw it was like a room and then a bigger room. Now a much bigger room, right? And what was storefront? Like I give him a lot of credit because there was a lot of people that he trained with in like his old gym when he was, just a trainer, who reached out to him and said, "Oh, I saw you got that little rinky-dink space." Like, and I was mad. He was like brushes it off. I'm angry for him. But he doesn't let those limiting beliefs stop him, and I'm super proud of him. When he said he wanted to leave his teaching job, I was like, "Are you nuts? We're getting married in 4 months and you have our benefits and you want to make this change now? Fine, go, we'll figure it out." And we did. So the next brain principle we're going to focus on is what's called your reticular activating system. And this is located in your brainstem and it acts as a filter. So our brain is constantly receiving a lot of signals, right? Everything that we hear, every sight, every sound, every smell. And our RAS really focuses on kind of filtering out your environment to help figure out where there's opportunity to get you closer to your goal or to remind you of your goal. So I used the example of a car. So I had a 2004 Honda Pilot for, oh my gosh, since I was 17. That was my first car. And 2 years ago, I finally decided to give it an upgrade. And the one car that it kind of had in the back of my mind that I liked was the Ford Bronco. I was open to other cars, but that was the one that I kind of really liked. I was going to look at other ones, but then I started noticing that every time I was driving, I kept seeing a Ford Bronco. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, they're like, these are getting more popular. Like they had just come back on the market. Every time I went to a gas station, there was another Ford Bronco. And it was my brain filtering out all the other cars to let me see that same Bronco, same one, same one. And I was like, I like this. And I ended up getting it. Right. So like obviously my RAS helped for me to keep seeing the thing that I wanted. But sometimes you see something over and over again and you start to hate it. So it actually kind of confirmed that this is actually what I want. I didn't even look at the safety specs, nothing. I'm definitely getting a different car when the lease is up because of that, but I love it. I do love it. She's out there. Okay, so how does your RAS work? It is really driven by what you're consistently thinking about, what you believe on, what you focus on. So the really big thing here to get your RAS activated is to set a very clear goal. The clearer you are, the easier it is for your body or for your brain to be able to filter out your environment so that you could actually find things that can, move you towards your goal. And it's the same like, I use the car as an example, but if you're trying to shift into a new career, maybe you're in business, maybe you're in finance, and you really have a love for fitness. And you go to a bar and you meet someone who's a gym owner. And you're like, your RAS is just firing off saying, get this person's number, right? Like if you're clear and you say, I'm going to shift into fitness, I'm going to become a personal trainer, and you've set that goal, now when your brain meets this person, you're immediately getting that person's number, you're connecting with them, maybe they have a job opportunity for you. Maybe they have a gym owner friend that's looking for new trainers, something like that. You also have to know that your RAS is very much connected to your emotional state. So when you are very positive about your goals and you try not to make them feel too big and you let them feel attainable and you say all these positive affirmations, you're going to see more positive opportunities in your path. Now, if you're very negative, you're going to have obstacles in your path and you're going to amplify them. No matter what your goal is, whether it's weight loss, whether it's starting a new business, you're going to have obstacles. And when we hit those obstacles and those roadblocks, if we're really positive about them, like, this happens to everyone plateaus in their journey. I'm just going to try something new. Let me up my water. Let me start doing a little cardio. Let me set a step goal. You know what? You'll probably break through that obstacle a lot quicker. But if you get to the obstacle and you're like, oh, I never get past this weight. I can never, and then you just amplify the fact that now you've hit this roadblock, you might throw in the towel. So your emotional state is really important when you're trying to activate your RAS. And this is just kind of putting everything together on one slide. So how do we activate our reticular activating system? Number one, like I said, set very clear goal. Then you want to visualize your success. So that primes your reticular activating system, really visualize success in that goal. Use your positive affirmations. I am capable of achieving my goals. I am capable of XYZ. and then focus daily. And this is a really big one. Write down your goal every single day because it is very easy to forget. And I want to give a nice example of someone who did a ton of manifestation to get to where they are today. Someone that I really like. I'm a big fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know why. I'm a big fan. I like the bodybuilding community. But this is such a great example of someone, he was a teenager in Austria with these huge dreams. And he used these practices of visualization and manifestation to be able to get to where he is today. Right? So, one thing that Arnold Schwarzenegger did when he was in Austria as a teen was he was very clear about his goals. As a teenager, he decided he would become the best bodybuilder in the world. Not just a bodybuilder, the best in the world, a Hollywood movie star, and a successful businessman and leader. I keep getting confused with this. He visualized success. So he spent a few minutes every day visualizing what it would be like to be on that stage. And I put a quote here. He said, "I saw myself on stage winning Mr. Olympia over and over again before I even won it. I had to be sure of it, visualize it, believe it, and then work towards it." He would put up posters of Hollywood movie stars on his walls as a kid. He would put up posters of bodybuilders. So he really had, like, when he woke up, he saw these things. He really maximized that visualization. And he was very positive about these goals, and people thought he was crazy. I mean, he was not even in the US, and he had all these dreams of doing these big things in the US. So he would say things like, "I'm going to become Mr. Universe. I will be a movie star." I don't know if anyone's ever seen the documentary of him, like the 3-part. Yeah, it's very good. It goes through 3 parts. The first episode is his bodybuilding career. The second one is his acting career. And the third one is him as a politician. My least favorite, but. And then he didn't just dream, he actually created a roadmap to his success. Right? So, and that's what we have to do is you have to break that dream into actionable steps and these milestones. And that's what he did. So his plan was, okay, I'm in Austria. I need to start doing bodybuilding. So I'm going to train rigorously, start winning competitions here. Okay, made a name for himself. Then he said, you know what? The sport's not big enough here. I need to move to the US where it's a lot bigger. Starts winning big competitions in the US. Now he's made a name for himself. Now people know who he is. They know him as a bodybuilder, but he leverages that to get into acting. So obviously, during that time period, people didn't want to hire him. They said, "You're too big." So what did he do? He looked for roles that he could utilize his size to his advantage. What was that, Conan the Barbarian, right? The other one, Hercules of New York, I never heard of that one, but he was in these films, and then obviously this helped him break into more popular films, things like blockbusters, obviously. And then with the money he made from acting, he found a career in real estate. He became a businessman, and then at the end, he worked in politics. He focused daily, and this kind of goes back to just repeating your goal every day. It's very easy to set a goal in the beginning of the year, and then just life happens, and March, you kind of forgot what you even set. So focusing every single day, writing down that goal every single day, reminding your brain, reminding your RAS that I still want to achieve this. I still want to do this. Even if I haven't started the steps, I'm still writing it down because if an opportunity comes in my path, I'm going to be able to take it. So how do we implement a routine to engage our RAS every single day? You could start your day off with some morning visualization. So spend 5 minutes thinking about your goal, what it feels like, what it sounds like. Spend 3 minutes doing positive affirmations. Spend 10 minutes with an action plan. Every day you should be doing 3 things. Have your top 3 priorities, to-dos of the day that relate to achieving your goal. And then at the end of the day, you do a reflection. You might have ideas or see things that you think could be beneficial to achieving your goal, jotting them down in your phone, and then reflecting on them at the end of the day, maybe transferring them into a notebook or something. So now you might be sitting here and say, I do have a really big goal and I really do want to achieve this. Or you might have smaller goals, or you might kind of not know what you should focus on. And something that I think is important, regardless of if you're very clear about what you want your goals to be, or if you have no idea, is to do a life audit. This is something that I personally have done for the last 4 years, every first month of the year. And it's a really nice way to kind of get an inventory of all the areas of your life, because you might automatically think like, I need to improve my health. I need to improve my blood work. I need to do this. But you might not realize that you're neglecting another part of your life because maybe it's not as important, right? So these are all the different areas of your life. This is your wheel of life. You could look this up on Google and you'll have the same thing. We have our career, our finances, how we develop ourselves, so personal development, relationships, spirituality and mindfulness, home and environment, so our home, our environment, our space, fun and recreation, so like your hobbies, things you like to do, and then health and wellness. So like I said, you might never think about your fun and recreation. Paul, you don't. His work, right? But there might be, if you kind of fill your cup in that section, you didn't realize that you had to, you feel better in another one. So it kind of balances things out. So when you do this audit, what I like to do is make a T-chart. I put the topic on the top, and then I kind of divide it into two sides. On one side, I write what's going well in this area of my life. So health and wellness, for example, what's going well? I consistently do cardio twice a week. I think that's great. I'm drinking at least 80 ounces of water every day. I always meal prep for work, I never have food out. And then you have what can use improvement. So I have been struggling to implement weights training into my routine. I've been inconsistent with taking my probiotic, have not had a physical in 2 years, so I don't know what my blood work looks like. And I get takeout or fast food every Friday and Saturday. So now the things that are going well are the things you could say, I'm carrying this over into my next year. And the things that could use improvement are the things that I need to focus on and set some goals around. So once you do this in every area of your life, you want to just look at every single chart and rate them from 1 to 10. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. And the ones that have the lowest rating are the ones that you should really make goals around. Okay, so this is a really good idea. It takes a while, but I'm telling you, it's so worth it. And when you make your goals, you want them to be SMART goals. So we want our goals to be specific. We want them measurable. We want them to be attainable and achievable. You don't want something that's like way too over your head. You want them to be relevant, and you want them to be time-based. We want our goals to have an endpoint, not just kind of like floating there in time. So just to give you some examples of different SMART goals for different areas of life that people tend to make goals around. The first one is going to be losing body fat. So an example would be, I will lose 10 pounds of body fat in 12 weeks by following a structured meal plan, working out 5 times per week, 3 strength training sessions and 2 cardio sessions, and tracking my calories daily using MyFitnessPal. So extremely detailed, very specific, and I'm actually detailing what I have to do. So it's not just like, I'm going to lose 10 pounds. It's like, no, I'm going to lose 10 pounds and I'm going to do it by doing 3 days of strength training, 2 cardio sessions, which is also attainable or achievable because I'm already doing 2 days of cardio. I'm already strength training a little bit, but this is more structured. So this is a great SMART goal around weight loss. Now, if you want to do something around saving money, an example would be, I will save $10,000 in the next 12 months for a house down payment by setting aside $833 per month. I will achieve this by reducing discretionary spending, cooking at home instead of eating out, which saves me $200, and setting up an automatic transfer of $400 to my savings account after every paycheck. Extremely specific and gives me actionable steps that I can use. And finally, another, I feel like, common goal people have is starting a little bit of a side hustle. So if I wanted to start like a travel agency, I could do something like, I will start a niche travel agency specializing in luxury vacations by June 30th. So very specific of what I want to do. I will research and register my business by February, create a website and social media profile by March, and secure my first 3 clients by July through targeted Instagram ads and partnering with local event planners. Extremely specific. Now, at the end of all of that, this is completely optional, but I think it's fun because it really just ties into the whole visualization. But you have your goals, you have what you want your 2025 to look like. So going in and creating a vision board, getting pictures that represent all the goals and the things you want your life to look like this year. And you can do it on Canva. You can make it your background on your phone, background on your computer, or you can do it and print it out and put it up somewhere. I'm going to shift over to Paul, and he's going to kind of continue on.
All right, let's give it up.
All right. Tough act to follow. I'm going to do my best here.
So Brianna talked a lot about, putting this stuff out in the world, right? The manifestation, the belief, affirmations, all those good things. And that kind of sets the foundation for what I'm going to talk about, right? So Brianna was kind of on the left side of this chat GPT picture that I made a little bit more. I'm going to be more on the right side, right? A little more tactical, practical X's and O's. So once you kind of establish this belief and you really want to make these changes, you've identified what they are, you put it out in the world, you want to make it possible, like, what do you do, right? Like, how do you track your progress? How do you make sure you're following through on these things? So to start, I'm going to ask you guys to think about a time in your life when you were fully committed to making a positive change and you failed, right? What happened? So I want you to use these three thinking questions, right? How is this similar or dissimilar to other challenges you experience in your work or life? What were the obstacles that caused you to fall off track? And did you rely on motivation or did you create structure and accountability? I also do have some pen and paper right there on the top rack. If you're so inclined, you want to write it out, I think that'll help it stick. But yeah, take like 1-2 minutes, think on it. Again, if anybody wants to pass out, Jane, sorry, I think it's right next to you, I'm calling you out. If you want to write it down, I think that'll help a bunch. So we'll take 90 seconds. So we'll sit in silence for 90 seconds. Think about time you were fully committed to making a change. What happened? Why didn't it work out? What were things you could have maybe done differently? Were some obstacles you faced? Things like that. Paper's there. Does anybody want paper? I'll grab it for you. Does anybody want pad and paper? Thank you, Matt. And feel free to rip them open. I know there's some fresh ones. Thank you, Veronica. Appreciate it. Great. Nice. Give it like another just a minute or so. Again, specifically, really, this first question here, I'm going to try to dissect a little bit. How is it similar or dissimilar to other challenges you experienced in your life? Just think through this. Another minute or so. Let's give another 30 seconds. If anybody's feeling brave, I'm going to ask people to share. Nice. Well, people are working on it. Is anybody feeling brave? Anybody want to share out? Anything come to mind? Something you tried, didn't work out? Yeah, Dana.
I think some of the goals that what I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
And others, I failed to follow through.
Okay.
Follow through what I know I'm supposed to do.
Okay. So maybe you start out and you're full force and it's going good, and then it teeters out a little bit. Yep. Thank you. That's real common. Anybody else? Anything come to mind? Yeah, Brian. Thank you.
Can I share specifically?
Please, yeah, do it.
I was really set on going to the Y and swimming.
Uh-huh.
That was going to be my new exercise thing. And then I was it was self-defeating before I went because I was like, oh my God, it's going to be so crowded.
Yeah.
I never knew it was going to be crowded. I don't know. I was always like, no, I'll try and go later. And I didn't have a specific time. And I didn't have a plan. I was like, it will just happen. I'll find the time.
Yeah.
And then work stuff. I was like, I can go during the day, but I didn't carve out time. So I feel like it was not having a plan, this sort of negative mentality about it's gonna be
Yeah.
I have to get everything together. I'm gonna get there. It's gonna be crowded. I'm definitely share a lane, but I didn't know. So
Yeah. No, I think that's important too. Just like the stories we tell ourselves, right? I think that's that's something I've learned. As a business owner, a little bit. I'll tell myself stories of how things happen. It's like, I don't know. That could be 100% wrong. You know what I mean? Sally maybe was really sick. Maybe that's why she didn't show up today. You know what I mean? You don't know. You don't know until you have the actual facts. Yeah. Those are really good examples. Anybody else? Last call? Yeah. Thank you.
So I really wanted to start going to bed earlier.
Oh, yeah. That's a hard one.
And then I found that with that challenge, with many others, I sort of will note that it is the right time and that is what I should in the name of compassion, I'm
Yeah.
be gentle
Yeah.
with myself, or sort of excusing the behavior that I know that I don't want to do. So
Yeah. It's easy, right? When you just like kind of put it out there where, yeah, no, yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I was relying on motivation alone.
Yep.
Because when I failed,
Yeah.
I could, like, set more structure around it.
Yeah. It sounds kind of similar to what Diana said, right? And yeah, I asked this too because again, I really wanted to double down on this one. Like, how is this similar or dissimilar to other challenges you experience in your work life? Because we don't really approach anything else in our life, I think, the same way we approach trying to make these positive personal changes, right? Whether it's like physical, financial, all these things, right? Like, does anybody have like KPIs or quotas they're held accountable to at work? Some people, right? Like, so if you needed those numbers to go up, like, and your supervisor spoke to you about it, like, they'd want a plan, right? If they asked you, if they're like, hey, Matt, we need the sales, I'm gonna go up by 10. He's like, okay, I'm really motivated. I'm excited about it. I'm gonna get it done. They probably wouldn't take that, right? Like they want a plan. You need something to keep yourself accountable and follow through. So these are just some statistics to kind of drive home some of these points, and we love you, and we don't want you to fall into these buckets here. I want to start too by saying, one thing I've noticed recently, and I don't know if it's just me, like social media, all that kind of stuff, people tend to like kind of poo-poo the New Year's resolution. Is that just me? Has anybody else like kind of noticed that? Where it's like, I don't need the calendar to tell me. I can make a change anytime I want. Resolutions are for suckers, whatever it is, right? And like, I get it, cool, but like, I think they're missing the mark, right? Where it's like, I don't know, it's one more time around the sun. We only get so many. You know what I mean? I think it's a perfectly appropriate time to take stock and look back at your life and where were you? Where are you now? And where you want to go and take inventory. A lot of the things Brianna was talking about, right? Like before you get to a lot of things I want to talk about, you really want to reflect, right? You really want to think about where you are and where you want to go. And I think there's nothing wrong with the new year to do that, right? Like if it's later, cool, awesome. But like it's a perfectly reasonable time to sit and think on these things and try to figure out where you want to go, right? So just some statistics here. 79% of New Year's goals involve improving health, right? So I thought that was very relevant, being we're in a gym. 35% of participants who failed their New Year's resolution said they had unrealistic goals. Anybody fall in that bucket? Anybody feel like they maybe had some unrealistic goals? I have. I know I have. Brianna has, right? Cool. 33 participants who failed didn't keep track of their progress, right? Resonate with anybody? Anybody tried to do a plan and maybe tried to make a change and didn't have a plan? This is my favorite one. 23% forgot. 23% of people, they just forgot that they made a resolution here. And then about 1 in 10 people who failed said they made too many resolutions. This is something I'll kind of come back to too, and it really kind of dovetails to what Brianna was talking about. A lot of these around like just making SMART goals. You can get along with that, right? When you really just kind of identify what you want to do, just make it specific, right? They had too many. Measurable, didn't keep track, right? So that's a really simple, easy takeaway from today if you're going to implement one thing to do, right? Okay, so kind of the bold statement here for my presentation is we really need to just identify and track the behaviors that will get us to our desired outcome, right? The behaviors, the micro, that will get us to the macro, right? The outcomes we want to accomplish. And I feel like here, a lot of people miss the forest for the trees, right? I think a lot of people get bogged down in the weeds with the behaviors, like what's the best diet, what's the best workout, what's the best X, Y, and Z, and they lose sight of the bigger thing, right? When the reality is, especially taking health and fitness as an example, like let's say you want to improve your health. That's your outcome, right? That's like the headline. It's really only, I would say, 3 things you really need to implement. 1, you need some kind of a nutritional strategy. That can be a lot of different things. You can track your calories, you can fast, you can stop eating out. There's a myriad of things you can do, right? But they're all going to work, right? You need to increase your NEAT, I think, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Most people check that box by walking, but you're at a desk, you do 10 squats in every hour. I know people who do that, they're real good with us. Again, it doesn't matter as much. And then you should lift weights in some kind of capacity, right? That really does matter. You guys should keep coming here. But yeah, and I see like people, they kind of get vexed. It's kind of like if you're at an airport and you need to go to Austin, Texas, and you're trying to find an airline, and you go to someone at the airport and you're like, hey, what's the real airplane? What's the real airline I should take to get there? They look at you crazy, right? Like they'll get you there. You know what I mean? Like there's some caveats, right? Like you want to make sure the ticket says Austin, Texas on it, right? But like the reality is most of them are really going to work. And I think the big thing when we're trying to select for these behaviors, and my next slide I think will bring this home a little bit, is just like, what are the things we could do that we will do, right? I think that's a big important thing. What are the things we could do that we would do, right? Like using here as an example, like let's say you come to us and you want to build your shoulders up, right? That's your outcome. That's your big picture thing you want to accomplish. Then on mine, I'm like, okay, for your shoulders, we can do overhead press, we can do incline press, or we can do lateral raises. And you tell me, oh, overhead press and incline press, those hurt my shoulders. Well, it's done, right? We just do our lateral raises because those are the ones like we could do, right? So I think that's a big important thing where we want to identify the big thing and then like, what are the little things we can do day in and day out that are going to get us there? And when we're picking these little things that we're going to do day in and day out, what is realistic? Again, coming back to SMART goals, real common theme. So they teach you this in personal trainer school. These are some stages of change, right? So these are some ways you could kind of approach going through this process, right? So first, contemplation. Most people will have the outcome in mind, right? Most people are going to know like the big thing they want to change, right? Like what's the outcome you want, whether it's getting healthier, improving your body composition. I think some of Brianna's examples are really good in terms of like you want to start a side business, improve your finances, what have you, right? So you're going to identify that behavior you should already have. Pick 3 to 5 behaviors that will get you to your desired outcome, right? Identify 3 to 5 things that will get you to your desired outcome. And then preparation phase, you want to create a specific and realistic, again, coming back to SMART goals, common theme, plan to track your behaviors and stay accountable. I think the stay accountable is a big piece. Like whatever kind of tool you use, stay accountable to yourself or stay accountable externally to someone else. There's a reason these things are so hard, right? There's a reason these things are so hard to implement because there's part of you that does not want to do it. There's a big part of you that doesn't want to wake up at 6 a.m. and come here, right? There's a big part of you that wants to order the takeout on a Friday night, right? There's a big part of you that wants to go shopping on Amazon and maybe not put money in your savings, right? Whatever it is. And you need to combat that, right? And I think accountability is really one of the best things we can do to do that. Then we want to implement our plan for a predetermined amount of time, and then we want to assess. We want to look at it, right? We want to evaluate your results, like what went well, what didn't, and look for patterns. So I'm going to use myself as a case study here. I sent everybody, all members of the gym, this slide here. If you want, just let me know. Sorry, it's not formatting perfect on the TV here. But using myself here, I decided my desired outcome was to improve my mental health, right? Like my lovely wife alluded to, I work a lot, and sometimes I don't put myself first and other things I should be doing, right? So it's like, you know what? I really want to prioritize going to New Year. I'm working too much. I need to really prioritize this and make it important in my life. So I reflected on the past behaviors that made me feel better that I was able to consistently execute on, all right? I think that's a big thing when you're picking these smaller behaviors, like what will I do consistently? Aim low. Aim lower than you think you should, right? What am I going to do consistently? Then I created this sheet with the behaviors I identified from the past that made me feel better that I was, again, able to do consistently. Big caveat here. So I got this from a gym owner group. I'm in like a mentorship group. I got this last year. I got this in 24 and I'm just starting to use it now. So, you know, one good note there too is just like be persistent, right? This stuff doesn't happen overnight. I think it's real easy to do something like this, miss it for 2 days, and then stop, right? Don't do that, right? Just keep on keeping on, be persistent, get to the other end of it, and then action. I committed to tracking these 5 behaviors for the month of January. So you can see here, I didn't do bad, right? Mindfulness, meditate in the morning. I did that 28 out of 31 days. 10 pages of book, not so great. I did that 17 days. Journaling I did every day, which I was pretty proud of. Bet by 10, you said Natalie, right? You said that, yeah. Not the best. And then tracking my food, I did most days. So now I have data, right? I have data, like what gets measured gets managed, right? I have information that I can look at objectively that isn't around feeling and motivation and all those things, right? So what do we do with that? We can look at it, right? So for me, my best habits were journaling and mindfulness. I was really, really good at those, right? So what can I do with that information? Maybe I don't need to track those anymore. Maybe I can open up that space to look at things that I'm not as good at, right? Or maybe I can anchor it to a more difficult behavior, right? So coming back to things I wasn't so good at, I wasn't good at the 10 pages of the book. Maybe I keep my book on top of my journal when I go to bed, right? So I see the book, I read the book before I journal, right? Bed by 10, again, not good at that. I have a tough time with it. Maybe I aim lower, right? Instead of 10, 10:30, right? Move the goalpost to where it's realistic and attainable. I was less consistent at the end of the month. I lost a little drive. I lost a little motivation. Really, really common. Maybe I shrink my time horizon, right? Maybe I track by the week or I track bi-weekly to keep me a little more motivated, a little more consistent. I was least consistent when I went home to Long Island. That's always a tough thing for me when I go home to my parents. Anything that throws you out of routine, right, is going to be hard, this type of thing. So then I could use just like a win-then rule. So when X happens, I do Y. So for me, I was like, when I go home to Long Island, I will at least track my calories, right? I will at least make sure I'm putting information into my FitnessPal here. And then to round it out here, these are just some common things that I took away from really popular books, right? So one, Make It Obvious, Atomic Habits, really, really popular one. I kind of touched on that, right? So if we are, I use my journal example there, right? So make it obvious. So I know I'm good at journaling. I'm going to journal every night. I'm not so good at reading. I'm going to put my book on top of my journal so I can go through that, right? Another example, let's say you're trying to take supplements. Put it next to your toothbrush, right? Hopefully most of us brush their teeth every day, right? So it'll be an easy one to remember there. Make it easy, right? So maybe, again, like having these visual cues for things you go to all the time. Like for me too, I know every morning I'm drinking coffee, right? So if I put something I mean to do by my coffee maker, I'll accomplish that. I'll get it done. Also, side note, The One Thing, very good book. If anybody likes to read this type of thing. Very, very good book by Gary Keller. Make it attractive. So maybe you hate doing your cardio, right? Maybe you set up so like, all right, whenever I do my cardio, I listen to my favorite podcast, right? Make it a little more attractive for you. Maybe you hate stretching. Maybe you keep your yoga mat in the living room and you watch your favorite TV show when you do that, right? And last, and this really kind of brings it home to what Brianna was speaking to, like make it part of your identity, right? Don't be like, I have to work out. Be like, I'm the type of person that work out, right? Again, like putting out in the universe, believing it. I'm the type of person that does these things. So to bring it home, we have some resources here. So this is the sheet. Again, you guys have this as an email. I know this might be a little small, right? So you have it as an email here if you want to open it there. So this is a QR code to the sheet I used, right? So it's real easy. There's directions on it too. You can use that to track. It was a really good tool for me. I liked it a lot. This is a QR code for 75 Together, which is an app on your phone you can use where you can set custom habits and do them with friends to hold each other accountable. Actually, Brianna, mid-March, we're going to kick something off in the gym. We're going to have like 3 habits. People can sign up. You can see, support, all those good things, right? And this is a really good low-level one. This one we didn't send out, but I'm happy to. Just let me know. This is a really easy, like, printable calendar. You can start at any date. You pick one thing. Put it somewhere you see it all the time, and exit out as you go. Okay? And that is it. Thank you again, everybody, so much. Thank you. Any questions, anything like that? We also have food set up in the back. If you guys just give us like 5 minutes or so, we just have to flip. So we just have to set up the tables and move the chairs. But yeah, any questions, feel free to come to Bree or myself, and we'll be ready for the food in a couple minutes. Again, guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate everybody coming out. Thank you.